Okay, so welcome everybody once more to the third session of the Youth Food Lab 2025. Today it's going to be already very technical, very much about learning a lot into how to track stakeholders. So this session is about systems mapping, and it's a workshop offered by SI Network. We have Sarah and Azra with us today. I'm going to pass it over to them so they can introduce themselves. Sarah?
Hello, I'm Sarah. I'm currently in Oaxaca in Mexico, originally from the States. I've been working in the regenerative space for about 3 years now. I'm the founder of a company called Earth Farms. If you'd like to look us up, which we create a series of digital tools. It's just two of us on a big adventure. And from the beginning, we've been using systems thinking, systems theory, taking a practical approach. So I believe in boots on the ground kind of research. My background is in UX design, UX research. And so through this journey, systems thinking and systems theory has really helped us identify leverage points in the research to build these digital tools. Even yesterday, I was hosted a co-creation workshop with people from all over the world to co-create these digital solutions. And I've been a part of the SI network for about a year now or two. And excited. What I do there is work as part of the core team on the Food Hub and helping create, doing theory into practice, like how to practically apply these tools in the real world. So love being here, supporting all of you in your amazing projects. It was great last year. I'm sure it's going to be so fun this year. So we'll guide you along this journey today. So strap in. It'll be a lot of fun and just enjoy the process. So thank you. I'll pass it on back over to you.
Thank you, Sarah. Azra, please introduce yourself.
Thanks, Francisco. Thanks, Sarah. I'm so happy to be part of this cohort, and I congratulate each one of you because I think this is such a great opportunity to showcase and learn from everybody. And I think this will give you a platform to also just scale the innovation that you are really bringing here. So and that makes me quite happy. I'm Asra. I am currently in Bonn in Germany. I'm originally from India. I really like building ecosystems that can solve problems. I think that the current world that we are living is quite complex. It really requires a new way of looking at it because it's a lot interconnected than we realize. So I feel that the age-old way of looking at the world has not really worked for us. A lot of consequences like climate change or economic downturn, all these things can be solved through this systems thinking perspective. So this is what I intend to do for the next few years of my life, try and understand how system thinking works and how can we build that whole world around looking at it through a systemic lens. And I'm happy that I am also able to share this knowledge with all of you today and also help you tread this journey on that path. So currently I'm working as an ecosystem builder at Systems Innovation Network. It's a social it's a network of people who are also in this field. It helps people understand what systems thinking is. It helps people connect with others who are in this field and also create projects and take systems thinking further. So that's it about me. Thanks, Francisco.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I will stop sharing my screen now. And guys, Sarah and Azra will take it over from now. So I'll see you in about 1 hour and 15 minutes.
Well, thank you very much. Azra, I'll pass it on to you to get started.
Okay, thanks, Sarah. So I welcome you all again. This is on the screen that you see right now is our team. We are Food Hub, the core team that actually helps scale Food Hub activities on the SI network. So SI network is like a large organization which has these different hubs, and we are one of them, and we are the Food Hub. You know me and Sarah already. We also have other two members who are part of this hub, Jill and Maria, and they are amazing. Our Food Hub formed about 3 years ago, and we're still on this mission to look at food systems through a systems thinking perspective. So here are the links on the Miro board. Do you want to share the link to the Miro, Sarah, with everybody on the chat?
Yes, thank you. Yes.
Okay. Okay, so you can follow us on LinkedIn, or you can also watch our videos from our workshops on YouTube. So what are we about? We're really about so we are about 5 main things. We want to build capacity of food systems and people who are working in food systems through systems, and to start helping them to look at it in a more system thinking perspective. Then we would like to bridge the gap between what's talked about and then what can be implemented on ground. We're also all about partnering with organizations like we're doing here with World Food Forum and with you guys. We actually want to create a space where everybody who is doing innovation can come together, and then they can collaborate on these ideas and then make better impact. We are more about creating that community of practice, so that can help transform the systems and help us overcome the challenges that we are facing in our current food systems. So this summarizes what we are about. There are different ways in which you can get involved with SI Food Hub. You can become a challenge holder, and then you can also lead a lot of initiatives with the Food Hub. You can become a mentor and support other people who are actively looking to participate in Food Hub, and then actively looking to do some transformational work. You can just be a silent spectator. You can be just a participant and learn what we are doing, learn from the tools and the methods that we use at the Food Hub to overcome the challenges that we try and solve through a systems thinking lens. You can also just be a community member. So you can just look at the Food Hub later. We will share the link in the chat after I'm done. So what we do, these are the main 4 focus activities that we do at the SI Food Hub. We are a connecting platform. We connect a lot of change makers who would like to propagate the idea of systems thinking to look at the challenges that the food system actually faces. Our main aim is that we drive the concept of systems thinking, and we really help propagate this concept so it can be useful in overcoming a lot of challenges that we face day to day. So at Food Hub, we also develop these tools that, like the canvas that we will use today, that can be applied to a specific challenge one is facing to overcome a lot of difficulties that one is facing. And we really want to create a world impact. So so we can make a mark and really help everybody progress in this lens. So that's it about the Food Hub. So before I move on to our session now, I hope you all are gathered here on the Miro board. Maybe Sarah can also just bring everybody to her so they're all here. So this is quite interesting topic, systems thinking. But before we really move into the workshop and start understanding what systems mapping is all about, I would like to invite you here on this section on the board that you see on the screen. You can pick a sticky there and answer the question. So the question is, how comfortable are you with the concepts around systems thinking? So all you need to do is grab a sticky from anywhere and just and then just put yourself on the line where you think you belong, like what state of systems thinking you are. This really helps us set the pace for the workshop and also really clarify the whole concept of systems thinking before we move to systems mapping. And I will lock the
Well, while you're doing that, I just want to mention that there's a chat available all the time. So maybe you cannot connect to Miro. You can write in the chat and we will reference it often to answer any questions you may have. So feel free to use that. And if you have any issues connecting to Miro, just let us know. Don't be afraid to unmic yourself and share any questions or problems you may have along the way.
Yeah, and if you feel comfortable, you can also just turn on your video and it can be more interactive, and we can look at you and you can look at this, and it will be more easier for us to participate in this workshop. That's quite nice. I hope everybody was able to put themselves in on the stickies here. I hope so far you are comfortable with the pace and also with the workshop. And you can drop in a thumbs up if you're okay, and I can move on. Um, you want me to start the timer just in
Yep.
case? Yeah.
Yeah, please go
Okay.
ahead. Thanks.
So today, so now we all know that you are here with some challenge question and you have submitted that now you're selected. It's quite important to develop the product to understand which challenge we are actually trying to solve. So through this exercise, we would start to look at how we can frame a challenge. We'll go through the process so you can really benefit from this exercise, and you can frame the challenge statement accordingly, which really helps you uh, create better products or services that you're looking forward for the challenge that you have picked for yourself. And then after we have discussed how we can create a challenge, we will then move to understand who are different actors, what is a stakeholder, who are different actors involved in the process of in the situation that you're trying to solve, like whatever that you're trying to solve for. And then we'll understand what different factors affect the solution that you're trying to create or the challenge that you're trying to solve. So this is a flow, and then later we will understand how can we identify if there are any gaps in the system, and how can we fill that through bringing a lot of stakeholders together, and then understanding what factors are in play and what are not. So this is how the workshop is going to flow. And maybe Sarah can also just give you like a small tour of the Miro where we will show you the moment. This is the flow. This is how the board looks like, and this is what we will cover today. We will move through a clockwise direction where we talk about first framing challenge statement, then we go to actors, then we understand factors, and then we see how they all come together for a challenge statement that we have figured out. And then we will see a beautiful systems map connecting different things together, evolve over the course of the next 90 minutes. So going back to but before we actually just jump right into it, I think it's quite important for us to understand what a system is and what does it comprise of. I think you have all come across system in different ways, but may have not realized that this is what defines a system. So systems is basically of three parts. We would like to look at the whole thing as a system is because we would like to understand it from a holistic perspective, so we don't miss out the actors and different factors in play. So we get a overall view of the entire thing. So that is why we are calling this a system. A system has three parts, which is elements, interconnections, and the purpose. So elements are the basic building blocks of the system. This is what creates a system together. So I just put stickies there in yellow, which describe what this means, and then a word to remember what it actually associates with. So elements are the structure on which the system is built. Interconnections are really the relationship between different elements of the system. So generally these elements are they are components. They interact with each other. For a system to unfurl, we need to look at how it interacts with different things. So we know the system that we see today is generally a product of a lot of interactions between different actors and factors that exist in the system. So this perspective really helps you understand the holistic paradigm or situation in which this challenge that you are solving for exists. So you can understand how one solution or how one way of looking at it can actually influence the other, and you understand the consequences that arise out of this. So this is why we need to also understand the interconnections when we are looking for systems. We think that we cannot really control the systems. A lot of actors, they are in play, so it really evolves over the time, and that is how the system functions. So the act of emergence that the system goes through is the purpose of the system. So these are the three main parts of what comprises a system. Um, we can also, yeah. So maybe we can go to the problems and then go there to the tools. So our way of looking at the world has taught us that the world works in a very linear way, which means that there is a problem and this is a solution and this will really help us overcome the problem. But it is not really like that. This is what system thinking helps us understand. It helps us understand that the world is quite dynamic. It is not just a result of a problem. It is not just a result of an action, but it is a result of a lot of interaction that keep happening simultaneously across different parallels of where the system exists. So to understand that, we need to also understand how we define our problem. There are two ways of looking at a problem. So one way is clock problem, which really just tells that the problems are quite mechanical. They are just a result of some actions and they can be predicted. And most importantly, it says that it can be controlled. So when you're looking at clock problems, you actually have already the best known practices that can be just taken from somewhere that has worked and applied here, and then it works okay, because that's how clock problems work. But the cloud problems really are the ones that are ever changing, they're dynamic, and they keep evolving as we go forward. And they're quite unpredictable. And what happens here is there are a lot of actors and there are a lot of elements within which these cloud problems exist, which interact with each other, which makes it quite difficult for us to really gauge what this is about and really predict what is coming about. So this is where systems thinking and systems lens comes into play. It helps us understand this better. Mapping system really helps us solve the cloud level problems, which is quite nice because a lot of challenges within the food system that exist right now are really interconnected across different dimensions like finance, economics, then agriculture and climate. So this is quite important, and this really sets the tone for looking at the problem in a more systemic lens. And so the systems approach is looking at not just the problem, but the environment in which it exists. So this is what is called understanding the context of the problem. So this is also about the perspective. It really helps looking at a problem within its context, that is the environment in which it exists. So we understand what are the different underlying causes. Sometimes the causes that are on the surface might not be the only cause. They might be under different levels and different layers. So systems approach, it really helps us looking at the context in a more in a more of a interactive pattern that helps us understand what are the different causes and what are the different ways in which it can be overcome. So today, what we're doing is we will look at the challenge more holistically. We'll look at different factors in play, and we'll try and deepen our understanding of what a system is and how different elements comprise it to make it the system that we see today. And then we learn to map what are the main important things to help us really understand the system better, to picture the challenge that we're trying to solve. So that is today's approach. And Sarah, if you can move to the systems mindset there. So the whole systems mindset is just a perspective. I think you already must be practicing it, but then you might not have labeled it as the systems perspective. So what we really do is we just in this we try and make sure that we know different people who are involved, different places in which this exists, and different tools and events that can be an effect of what the challenge that we're trying to solve or the challenge that exists in the current world. So what we try and do is we really understand what are the different elements that are in action in the system, and then we try and make sure that we understand how we can make connections between them, like who affects what and how does it affect, what does it depend on, and how does these consequences arise out of, and all these things. So it really systems mindset is more about a perspective. It helps you look at from your stand. So what you do in systems thinking is you really assume roles of different stakeholders that are there. or you talk to them and you understand what are the challenges, that they are facing, and what is the perspective from their side in looking into this challenge. So it really helps us get a holistic picture and then understand it through different lenses, so you can get a full view of the system and understand the challenge better. So on the right side here, we see we have actually taken example to help us go through this workshop. So this is also one of the members from cohort of last year, and they also attended this workshop last year. So we use their example to do the workshop today. I can read this out for you. So this is what they submitted for the YFL, circular bioeconomy business that fights against the cashew apple loss. So if you have not ever seen a cashew apple, so if you just zoom out here, this is what it looks like, and they're talking about how can they provide value out of these apples and what can they do to do that. So this is the waste it generates. What we will do right now is take some time, and then we will read different paragraphs and see what it actually means, what it intends to talk about. So if any of you would like to also unmute and then read, that's also possible.
Go ahead, Azra.
Okay. The first paragraph is the Eco Crafters project aims to address the significant issue of cashew apple loss by transforming discarded cashew apples into a sustainable and valuable product. The cashew nuts grow attached to a pseudo fruit called cashew apple. And due to the unknowledge of the existence of the fruit and its rich nutritional value, there is no industry, unfortunately. And then they are just thrown away. This situation leads not only to substantial food loss or serious environmental production, but also missed economic opportunities for cashew farmers who do not take advantage of their entire production. With approximately 6.3 million tons of cashew apples waste annually in India alone, the project recognizes the urgent need to reevaluate the potential of this pseudo-fruit. So this is the first paragraph, and the key takeaways from this first paragraph is that people do not really, there is no awareness that something like this exists, something like a cashew apple exists, and the nutritional value of this is quite high and significant, but nobody knows about this. So there is no potential for a market yet. So what because of this unawareness, it actually creates a situation where there is food loss and there is serious environmental consequences, and then a lot of missed economic opportunities. And then it also gives a statistic there that about 6.3 million tons of cashew apples are wasted annually, just alone in India. You can imagine how it translates when it is calculated across the world. So the first paragraph, it really talks about the problem, which is cashew apples are widely discarded because lack of awareness causes food waste and environmental harm, and there is economic loss for the farmers. The second paragraph here, which reads, the team's solution involves development of an innovative food product from a cashew apple. The Eco Crafters team aims to focus on developing a fermented drink. This unique selling proposition is underpinned by a commitment to contribute to a sustainable food system, reducing waste and minimizing the carbon footprint by upcycling discarded cashew apples. The project's focus on sustainability, green techniques, and versatility positions the product as a valuable addition to companies seeking to enhance the sustainability and health benefits of their offerings. So in this second paragraph, it really talks about the solution and how the solution can actually impact the environment in which it is being served, and what does this project or what does this company aim to actually create an impact in. So it talks about sustainability, reducing waste, and minimizing carbon footprint. Alongside, it also talks about what this product is going to be. So they said it's going to be a fermented drink. And how do they, and then the impact that they want to create with this project. So it really talks about the solution. Towards the third one, in the third paragraph, it says, the project's location in the Konkan region of Maharashtra, particularly in Ratnagiri, strategically positions the company to overcome challenges associated with the perishability of the fruit and to minimize the supply chain. The team plans to work closely with cashew farmers, providing training on efficient harvesting methods and the project and forming alliances to create common collection centers. This approach creates economic opportunities for cashew farmers and incentivizes them to pay more attention to the fruit, thereby reducing waste and enhancing the economic prospects of this region. So this third paragraph really captures the process with which this project will be done by the company. So this is more about implementation and what they would like to do and how would they like to position their product and how can they actually build that supply to the product. So this is what it captures to address the supply chain challenges and engage farmers. So it's more efficient and it can really help them create the product that they are looking. So in this paragraph, the company, it actually helps us understand the approach the company is taking so they can bring about maximum output from their product. And also it highlights how they are doing it and what is their business plan that they would like to really engage with. So the last one here is the paragraph here, which is, in summary, this project represents a holistic approach to addressing food loss, promoting sustainability and creating economic opportunities by unlocking the potential of cashew apples as well as the development of new high-value drink. Through the development of innovative and high-value product, the project aims to contribute to a sustainable food system while providing valuable opportunities for local farmers and communities. So this fourth paragraph really just summarizes what we just discussed in the first three paragraphs. It talks about the approach it's taking, the challenge it's solving, the solution that it's providing to solve this challenge, and what it really creates an impact in, and how does it create an impact, who are the different actors that could be affected by this, and how does it really create the value for farmers. So this is the challenge that we chose to use. So I hope you got a little bit of idea from this. If you have any questions, maybe I'll pause for a minute. You can. Okay. Oh,
Cool. Making wine out of cashew. Okay, great. So yeah, focusing on the value added product. So if it's okay with you, Azra, shift
Yeah.
to the next thing. Okay, as you saw, I think it's very valuable to go through and to take a highlighter. And as Azra was reading, I was highlighting some important points so that you can then go and reference for the next activity. So this is always going to be here, and we copy and paste it all around. So we're going to constantly use this, like I said, as a reference. So feel free to jump back here, take some sticky notes and write some things down. So as we move forward, what I'd like you to do really quick, it would be grateful if you kind of briefly go through it. Here are some sticky notes, and I pulled one right away. So this is our first hands-on activity. So I thought this was an important point that Azra mentioned. So I'm going to put a sticky note that 6.3 million tons wasted annually. That's huge, huge opportunity here. So I dragged a sticky note. You take it here, boom, just pull it. And let's kind of go through and together pull some of the most important things that were mentioned here. Feel free to read through it again, use the stuff that's highlighted, but it's nice to have all of this context that we can use later for the next activity. So maybe we'll take 1 to 2 minutes to start pulling content that we think is valuable to continue into this space here. If you have any questions around what we're doing, feel free to ask in the chat. But maybe we want to go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I just also wanted to highlight that in case if you cannot access the Miro board for whatever reason right now, you can also put your thoughts in the chat and me or Sarah will pull it out of the chat and put it on the board there.
So the reason we're taking time to do this is we encourage you to do this with yours. If you have a paragraph like this, a summary, amazing, go through it, pull out all the important content before you get started on the next activity. So sit here for another 2 minutes and then get started.
So we have a question in the chat from Abhinav. So what we are doing here is we are really highlighting what are the different important aspects from the challenge statement on the left. Also what I covered. So if you can access the Miro board, you can just pull up a sticky and then you can put what are your key takeaways from the project and how it is quite important to understand the project. I hope it answers your question, Abhinav. Okay.
I'm going to start clustering them as we go through. So that's another thing we commonly do is start moving things that are common together, clustering them into themes. So over here we have, what are the solution, minimizing, that's what they like to do, the carbon footprint. What they're noticing is missed economic opportunities. Here's some of the solution, training the farmers. We have somebody writing holistic approach. Over here. Do you mind locking that?
Yeah, I'm just doing that there.
Okay, thanks. Let's move these over here. So over here. So then I'll take one of these and I see a little cluster forming over here. So maybe I put a circle around it. These are all kind of like solutions that they're going to implement. Okay, we'll take one more minute here. And right over here. I love that people are coming in here and filling in more. Amazing. They locked me out of that one. So we can put this over here too. All right, so I feel like we get the idea of what's happening here. So we'll just continue because we'll keep referencing this the whole time. So, but this was a great start. So if you move over, I'm a very passionate person when it comes to framing the question. So all of you probably have a question. So I invite you to take a moment here to, we'll focus on theirs, the eco crafters, and then I invite you to reflect on your challenge question and maybe rework it with this new thoughts. So our focus here is how to formulate a challenge question. So again, we're thinking about eco crafters this whole time. Okay, not yours, eco crafters. So what do they dislike about the current system? And feel free to pull from here. But we really want to focus on what's the problem with the current food system that they have found. So feel free to grab a sticky. I'll move these over here to the next activity. Moving on. And what do they dislike? Thank you. I have a few people moving stuff, which is completely fine. So amazing. Perfect. They dislike there's so much as food is being wasted when it comes to agricultural processes and the supply chain. Many things. Love that. There's lack of awareness around the benefits of the fruit itself. Okay, and then so this is great for you to do, you know, first think, what do we dislike about the current system when we're thinking about our project? What are we trying to change? Why are we doing this to begin with? And then as you go down, you can continue. What would they like the system to look like? So we'll continue to the next one. What would they like the system to look like? Love that. So they really believe in improving the economic conditions for farmers. I completely agree. They probably wanted to be more sustainable, right? That's the whole idea here, to sustainable system, reducing the waste. Love that. That's a great one as well. I'm gonna start completing those. They would like to have a system that looks at has a lower carbon footprint. And they want a system that looks after the community welfare. So again, when you're thinking about yours, what do you want the system to look like? Okay, now we get a little bit layer deeper. Okay, I'm inviting you now to, based off of this, what is the main variable or thing they would like to change? What do they want to change in the system? What do you think? There's no right or wrong answer. I love that. Efficient harvesting methods. Yes, I love that. The use of waste, that's what they want to change. From all that being wasted to now turning it into something that's of value that can provide these economic opportunities for farmers. So think about what's that main thing that they're going to change in the system. And then as we continue, then I invite you to think about yours, you know, when you do this yourself, when you go through this activity, I encourage you to go step by step to think about this with your team. What do you dislike about the current system? What would you like it to look like? What is the main thing that you're trying to change in the system? And then when you write a challenge question, it's super important. You have like a focus variable. What are you focusing on? So here they're really focusing on reducing food waste, right? That's their guiding star. Everything else is a benefit and how they're gonna do that, you know? And then you have the goal. The goal is to create a world that's more sustainable. So when you create a challenge question, it's very important to think, okay, what is the focus thing? And then what is the goal variable? So for my project, it was how might information and knowledge be exchanged to increase the adoption of sustainable farming management practices. So my focus variable for my current project is looking at how information is exchanged. And then what am I trying to achieve? What's the effect I'm trying to achieve? Is how to increase the adoption of sustainable farming management practices. So now I invite you to do the last thing, which is identify what is the focus variable, what are they focusing on, and then what is the goal variable. So we'll put them, great. So we have, let's put under the focus variable here. What do you think, are they focusing on? And what do you think is their goal variable? Yeah, I completely agree. For me, and you know, there could be multiple answers to this, but for me, the focus variable is reducing food loss. The goal may be to increase awareness, or we have these words like sustainability.
or economic opportunities.
Economic opportunities. For me also, I put for my focus variable was they wanted to create value added product themselves. This is what they're focusing on. Create a value added product. Why are they doing that? To reduce the food waste in the supply chain. I could say supply chain, global, the agricultural industry. I chose the word supply chain. So for me, there's many things that you could take there. It depends how focused you want to be, narrow you want to be with your challenge, or wide. We call it depth and breadth. Breadth meaning you're going more wide or you're going more deep with it. So this is a great activity. So I'll stop here just to say, I encourage you to do the same thing for yours. And just to wrap this up, the variable, when we talk about variable, it's a measurable element. They're not actions or solutions, they're like nouns. They're quantities or qualities that can increase or decrease. So when you think about a variable, that's a thing. We're going to increase or decrease, reduce the amount of food waste. So here's an example of that. You can measure, it's measurable. And so, yeah, so I like this idea of the focus variable being your guiding star and then your goal variable being the near star. So I encourage you to do this, and really you can turn them into how might we. So here you could say, how might we create a value added product to reduce food waste in the supply chain? It's very concise. So the goal of rethinking your challenge question is what is your focus variable? What is your goal variable? How might we do this to achieve this? And the simpler, the better. Otherwise, when you put too many variables in there, you start to lose focus. And when you're working with a team, knowing your focus around your challenge question is incredibly helpful around staying aligned around your vision and the challenge that you're working on. Any questions about that before we move forward? Was it helpful? Are you rethinking your challenge questions now? Maybe you have to go back to yours to rethink some things. So go back to this, look at your focus variable and your goal variable, and then you just change it. How might we do this to affect this? All right.
Yeah.
Moving forward then, go ahead, Asra.
Yeah, I was just encouraging the participants that you can also use the option of chat in case if you think unmuting yourself is causing a trouble with your internet. I think it's quite interesting because this is a starting step and you should be really clear to go through the entire process that comes afterwards. So this is a great opportunity for you to talk to Sarah and then clear your doubts.
Okay, so I'm just gonna use the one I came up with. We'll use it later, but I think all of these are great. There's so many different challenge questions we could write, as long as you have this focus variable and this goal variable. So if there aren't any more questions, I will, and you're welcome to, maybe you want to turn yours into, feel free as we move forward. So this is an example. How might we create a value added product? We as eco-crafters, and what are we trying to achieve? To reduce food waste in the supply chain. And there's other ways we're going to go about it, creating those education centers, helping farmers with economic opportunities and things like that. But feel free to try it on your own, and I'm going to pass it over to Azra to move on to the next activity.
So thank you, Sarah. And I hope you understood how you frame a challenge statement. Now we are moving on to the main activity, which is trying to understand how we can create a map for the system that we are trying to solve this problem or a challenge in. So this systems map is really of two levels. First one is the actor mapping and the second one is the factor mapping. So what are actor maps? This is quite interesting. These actor maps are simple system map, which really helps us understand different organizations or different people involved in this system. We are trying to overcome a challenge. So you have figured out a challenge and you want to create a solution for this. And actor maps helps you understand who are different stakeholders involved in this process and whom can you connect or whom can you contact, who are your users and whose problem is it solving, who is it helping, and who really needs to come into this picture. So this can be an easy process. So really understanding who can be involved. The who aspect is what really helps us understand the actor maps better. So when you look at actor maps there, so here when we look on the context now, when we have gone through this in a more detail, we can understand what the different actors involved and who can actually benefit out of this or who can help out of this. So let's start with understanding who are different actors. So in the first paragraph, I see the eco-crafters, the main ones creating a solution for this problem. So that is one of the actor group. Also in the first one, I think it talks about unawareness of the challenge. So it's people, the consumers, they're also actors, right? So they you can also pick them up. Then so Sarah has already highlighted cashew farmers. They are the main for whom we are solving this problem and creating opportunities. So cashew farmers is another one. So here in this section below, Sarah, maybe you can also just bring everybody to you so they're all on the same section of the
Yeah,
board.
I'm having do you mind coming here? I'm having a hard time
Yeah,
bringing
okay.
everybody
I
to me
will.
for some reason. I'm
I
not
can do
on the
that.
list. Thank you.
That is
Okay.
fine. So we have a stack of blue stickies that you can use to put out different actors that you think are involved in the supply chain, in the value chain, and taking the product to the market. So feel free to do that. Sarah can also show you how to really pull the sticky from the stack. And I will just invite you all to me. So we're all here and I will just, I can't stop the cursor. So I think we can just look at all of us participating here.
Yeah, I think we'll spend maybe 5 minutes here going through. If you need to reference the context again, feel free to, but we're identifying all the key actors and think out even wider. Who are all the people being influenced in this project?
You can also think different stages and this is happening. The ideation stage and then the supply chain stage, the value chain stage, and taking it to the market stage. That way you know whom to contact or these are your actors.
Yeah, good point.
So we generally do actor mapping to understand the perspective of each of these actors and how does the challenge affect them and how does the solution that we are trying to provide give value to them. So these are a few key aspects of doing the actor mapping as part of the systems map. Actor mapping also helps us understand the adoption or likability for your product. So you know who are involved in the process, who might accept your solution, and then who might need some nudging or some kind of pitching too. So they also understand what this is about. So active mapping is quite important aspect. This really helps us understand the perspectives, who is involved, how are they related, how do they affect your problem or the solution that you're trying to provide, and how can you actually go to the market and influence people? So these are some key aspects of doing active mapping and how they actually help us understand our market better. I see some really interesting across the spectrum of the stakeholders coming up here in the stickies, and that's quite impressive from all of you to put these here.
I was also thinking, local authorities, do you need buy-in from the community, from local authorities as well? So again, make sure, you're thinking about, as Azra mentioned, the supply chain, who are those other people that you need to get buy-in from?
I also like that someone put NGOs there. I think it relates to the farmer producer organization, that the system that we have in India, they really help pool the produce. So just to highlight that active mapping is quite contextual, which means that it is quite specific to the challenge that you're solving. And so do keep that in mind. Right now we are doing this for the Eco Crafters example. So when you are applying this to your challenge, it will be different and it will look different, but the basic mechanism is same. Okay, so we are drawing close to this section. I will move the box into the center on the concentric circles we have there. In the meanwhile, if
I'll move that challenge question here. So your challenge question goes in the middle, and Azra's going to move the key actors for the other activity. But we will move on. Is there any questions about actors? And again, like Azra was mentioning, you're going to apply these same methods to your project for your homework around who are the key actors in the supply chain that are going to be affected or influenced, or that you need to get bought into your project. Okay, so we're going to move on to key factors here. So when we talk about, so we're moving from actors, so the people being influenced, the key stakeholders, and then we move into the factors. So these are the most important elements or components in the process or system. So they have an impact on its outcome. So these are the things that really matters that can determine the success or the failure in your project. For example, the recipe here as an example, the key factors might be the right ingredients and the correct oven temperature, if we're talking about cooking. And in business, it could include people like the customer satisfaction. It's a qualitative measurement, product quality, and efficient management. So these are important elements. So think about them, success or failure. So we're going to go into it a little bit more detail. So when we're talking about key factors, we can talk like environmental key factors, technological key factors, economical. So we were talking about, economical opportunities, and then social, like the community involvement or community awareness. Those might be factors that are involved. land degradation, methane being produced from all this waste just sitting there without being utilized, economical being a value added, these economic opportunities. So again, we're focusing on eco-crafters. And what we're gonna do is go through each one very slowly, maybe, take 5 minutes on each one if you like, if you need to reference the context again. But for example, here, environmental would be the cashew apple waste. That would be a key factor that's going to be whether it's success or failure. Without the cashew apple waste, there would be no value added product, but there would also be no environmental degradation happening in response to that. And so I invite you, but also I put it here as well, because I could also see the economical value of the cashew apple waste. Like it's an economic opportunity here. So it's quite difficult, where do we put it? Do we put it in economical or environmental? And I think you can put it in both places with other factors around that. So any questions on here? Anything that you want to, maybe a way that helps you remember what a key factor is, Azra?
I think it also goes back to what we did earlier, trying to understand what is different challenges who are involved. So you also know how does it affect, and from there you can draw these lines to which factor it involves, and how can we really connect those dots together.
All right, so
I
we're
have
gonna
a
sit here a little bit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You repeat cashew apple in like two aspects. So why you repeat it? If not, it's not better to it's like specific, like be more specific about the relationship with, for example, the
Yeah.
cashew apple in the environment.
Yeah,
Or-
because environmental, I would say cashew apple waste, meaning like it's causing environmental harm. So maybe we could put like environmental degradation.
And then I guess to
Or
make like the connections between, I don't know, these four key factors, or it's not necessary.
we'll do that later. We're going to connect the pieces later, and then here this would be the economic opportunity of the food waste.
Thank you.
So the reason I put it there was like you could put it in both, but be more specific around what you're speaking of. So thank you for bringing that back up for clarity purposes. All right, let's keep going. So I like this, climate change. We also talked about like carbon footprint.
Another key for environmental is, I think, reducing the food waste, and that was their challenge, the main aspect of the challenge. Oh, that's good.
I like this, opening a new market. Yeah, I love that. Okay. Right, community engagement might be a factor that will influence the success or the failure. So if you're having a hard time, to ask it, okay, community engagement, well, that will directly affect whether we're successful or not. Without community engagement, we may not get very far. It will influence whether we're successful or not. And it can. Yeah, I love this one, willingness from farmers. That will definitely influence the success or failure.
I also like market adoption, and I think it speaks to consumer perspective.
Mhm. I love this one, infrastructure, super important. That will definitely influence whether it's a success or failure. You need infrastructure to produce the product. Amazing work here.
So, somebody is hovering over social. There, maybe if you just click out of it, then others also can put sticky. Sometimes it restricts them. Oftentimes, I think because we're already begin here with the solution, we haven't really said gave an importance to research that goes into solution. So you can also put that aspect under technology, because that really is a scientific innovation. So
I'm also going to put investment under economical, because maybe without investment, if you don't have support, investment, it may lead to the success or the failure. Mm. I like this learning attitude. If people are unwilling and resistant, then these education centers may not be successful. What about number of students, number of participants, number of people who are coming? Do you need people educating the farmers, If you have farmers showing up, but there's nobody to educate them, then no. I like training resources. Just thinking out loud.
I think also the know-how of which apple fruit is good or which has rotten, I think that is also quite important. And I think that also is covered under technology, because it is a scientific approach.
So what would you put in the scientific knowledge?
Oh, and product, or
I
product
recommend it.
know-how, or
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely fermentation. Can I add process? Like you would need to know, like knowledgeable about the fermentation process too. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Roger. Is there research that needs to go into, Yeah, and then what about the agricultural practices that are even used? Like if somebody wrote fertilizer used, would it affect the product? then that's being put in these bottles, influencing, public health. Not economical. More.
I think another key that I think is if it's a product and it's fermented, maybe it also requires cold storage or storage units, and that is also like infrastructure cost. So I think that's something that we can also.
Yeah, storage. Sure. Somebody put warehouse for sure, but it will definitely be cold storage. And then let's think of something happened. And then when you do fermentation, I think it's a pretty short shelf life, so that's an economical consideration, right? Like the timing, like once you ferment it, when you bottle it, how long is it good for? And is there economical consideration to take into account? So you see how Azra and I are kind of going back and forth. We invite you to do this kind of with your team, talk it out. Sometimes it's best to talk with your team. Like, is this an economical consideration? Do you agree?
I really like that somebody put feedback under social. That's quite important. I think just developing a product that's not really adopted by the consumers is not really of value, but taking that feedback is quite early on is quite an important thing. So really impressive
Yes.
whoever put that there.
Yeah. I'm gonna put shelf life. All right, since we're kind of drawing to a close very quickly, I think feel free to add a few more stuff. But Azra is gonna move these if you don't mind, Azra, and I'll continue on in the next one, just because I think time is running and I want to make sure we spend some time on the next bit.
Okay.
So if it's okay, we'll stop the timer and kind of shift, but feel free to add more things and add it later. So if you follow me upwards, we're going to practice some linking these connections. And so this is really where the fun begins. If some of you watched my Loom video to help with the linking, thank you for watching that how-to video so you have a better understanding on what we'd like for you to do here. So we try to provide like a step-by-step on what to do. So if you look here, we want to start looking at those key factors and making connections slowly at first, with the key actors. So here is an example. I started with these NGOs. They provide training. So they were in blue, so they're a key actor. So then what do they provide? They provide access to knowledge for farmers. So here I might click on here and write a note inside the text saying, what do they give to the farmers? Well, they train, provide knowledge to the farmers. And then here we have farmers have access to knowledge. Okay. If they have access to knowledge and know-how around the cashew apples, then they'll be a lot more likely use the cashew apples. Because that's an important part, right now it's going to waste, but if they have knowledge, then they're more likely utilize that cashew waste and see the value and look at it differently. And this is where we get into shift of mindsets. So we'll talk about this the next workshop. And then farmers use cashew apples. Well, their income will increase if they're thinking about it as a value-added product with this new knowledge, then their income is going to increase. And then if their income increases, they have more motivation to harvest increases. And so you can see how this kind of loop starts forming here. Well, if there's more motivation, then there's going to be more funding probably, or something to provide training, and we could put more investment here too as well. So if you have more motivation to harvest, then we're going to know that this training worked and this cycle is going to repeat itself. And so we call this like a reinforcing loop. So when you do this, what we're going to invite you to do is pull these factors and actors and start making these simple connections and see if you can identify some of these loops starting to occur. So who influences what? Draw an arrow from an actor to a factor, or from a factor to a factor. So like we said, NGOs make availability of training available. And then what else changes? So if this changes, if training becomes available, what else is going to change before that, you know? So here, if there's training, then more farmers are going to become more knowledgeable. You could put that. More farmers are going to use the cashew apples, and then look for cause effect. If this goes up, what else is gonna happen? If this happens, how is it gonna affect this? So this is where it gets really interesting. So as you can see, we're gonna just spend a few minutes, the last 5 minutes here, just practicing before we close out here. So here are the key actors. Feel free to drag this out of here if you want to do it. Feel free to drag out of here. Maybe you want to use one of these and you see a connection. So you say, okay, I'm going to, for those of you who didn't have a chance to see the video, to draw a line. I'm going to show you real quick. So I'll do this as an example. I'm going to take this. Here's the line. Take it from here, drag it here. And then in the video, I showed you come in here on the types and change into nice and curvy, which is great. And then maybe you wanted to explain a little bit here. So then you can go in and add a text. In here, you just came in and you added a text. You say, it influences, and then you can, make it align. And then you're adding communication pieces to help you understand why you made that connection. Because when you look back at it later, you're going to want to know why is it influencing? How is it influencing? So the more you can add, the more those of you who are artists, sketchers, if you want to sketch and draw, this is your invitation to get as creative as you want. But I'm going to delete this because it's not actually true. Here, so we invite you to come in here and practice making those connection points. Explain why you made that connection, elaborate for clarity purposes, and we're just gonna try it out, Any questions? Go ahead, Nasra.
Sorry, Sarah, just on the left side of the board, I see a sticky. I think somebody put it as a key factor. Or just more far left.
Nice. Can I move this into, I'm gonna put this in the key factors.
Yeah, maybe economic
Organic products provided economic.
or
Mm.
social.
Yeah. Organic produces provided. I think let's just put this under economic. Since we don't have a ton of time, I'm gonna just review everything I'd like. So I love that somebody's going in here. We're gonna turn this. If you go in here, you can switch to type and make it curvy. And then you can start moving it around. Hi. And it's nice. Go into the type, make it curvy. And you can start moving them closer for, help you a little bit. Go ahead.
Just maybe to highlight, it's just that key actors stay in the second circle and then the factors stay outside, so you know how they are connected. Sometimes they connect to more than one actor and more than one factor, so we want to emphasize that.
Let's make this a little bit bigger so you can see what's happening. I love this. So the investors provide, I'm just gonna help per, what do? They provide capital. And then if you go in here, you can text position and you can align it if you want. Just showing you some tricks. And financial institutes provide loans and subsidy. And I bet you could put a farmer in here somewhere, you know? Is this for eco-crafters are you talking about? Are you talking about farmers? Who are you talking about there? But I love what you're doing here. So keep going. And then last thing, let's say your arrow is in the wrong direction. You can switch it, you know, here. So you want it the other way, you can flip it. Okay, so since we only have a few more minutes, I'm just going to, so your homework, everyone, I'm sure you're most excited about this, is to go through this process yourself. So what we're going to do today is clean the space up for you. Each one of you will have your own board. We're just going to copy and paste, get rid of things, and we invite you to go through this exact activity. So instead of eco-crafters, it's going to become yours. You go through this same activity, reframe your challenge question, take a look at it again, identify your key actors here, put them here. Then you're going to go do your key factors here. And last but not least, you're going to put all the magic together into a systems map where in the next workshop, what Azra and I will do is come in here, we will do breakout sessions, we will talk about leverage points. So we have a very important reading for you to do. So please don't skip the reading. It's going to be incredibly valuable for the next workshop. And then we'll come in and help you identify some leverage points, which will be a great activity. And we'll go around to each breakout room, look at your look at your systems map, provide you feedback before you submit it for our final grade. So any questions or anything, just let us know. Feel free to reach out. Azra and I are on LinkedIn. For me, that's the best way to keep in touch. If you have a question, happy to help and answer. I don't want you to feel like you're alone in this. We're here to support you along this way. And beyond, feel free to join the SI Food Hub where you can stay connected. But I'll pass it over. Azra, any last words before I pass it over?
No, I think maybe just summarize what we have done so they get the flow and then they can replicate that in their challenge statement. Okay, so first we understood what systems are and we said how we can apply what is systems mindset to understanding the whole challenge and the context in which it exists. And then we went on to understand how we can put the challenge statement and what solution that we are providing. In a way, it really helps us understand what it is about, what it is solving, whom is it, whom does it involve, and what value does it create. And then we go to start framing the question. We talk about guiding stars and then all the goal variable. And then we frame the question and then we later pick it up and start understanding who are different stakeholders involved, who are the actors and the organizations involved. And then we put them there and then we move to the factors and then we list the different factors that are affecting or influencing these solutions or the actors, and we have them in the 4 categories: technological, environmental, social, and economic. And then we take all of these and we put it in these concentric circles in the middle, and then we start making these connections. Then I know it sounds quite simple, but then it's a process, and I hope you take this 1 week of time to really go through this and brainstorm with your team members. Yeah. Over to you, Francisco.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. This was such a fun and interactive. I mean, I was watching it from the outside and just looking at the mural board. It was amazing. Everybody was taking sticky notes, putting them in the right place, and going through what you were saying. Everything was very, very nice. Thank you so much for this. And you guys, if you have any questions, like Sarah said, you can just find them on LinkedIn, join the network. You can do as much as you can to keep in touch with these people because they do understand a lot of this. And this is a very, very important part when you're trying to create your business. So Sarah and Azra, if you could drop in the links to your your LinkedIn pages, that would be great. Even for the SI, that would be also very, very nice. Just some last regardings here. So, as Sarah and Azra mentioned, do not forget that you have an assignment to work on, and you can submit it via email, either to me or to Maria. The emails are in the booklet. Use them. Use the booklet to find the emails. So the deadline is on the 10th of April at 11:59. So yeah, there you go. Do not forget also about the Wageningen University and Research e-course deadline, which is on the 16th of April at 11:59 as well. If you are having any troubles with your credentials, let us know. Do not hesitate to contact us because it's important that you understand that you go through this e-course for us. So we really don't want you to miss that opportunity. And then in 2 weeks, we're going to have the second systems mapping, which was also mentioned by the team. And on the 24th of April, we're going to have a mix and match of mentors. So everybody's going to meet each other. It's going to be pretty fun. So a little more. So sorry, Sada. Yes.
I just want to mention one thing for those of you who do not have access to internet and Miro, you can do this with a pen and paper. So feel free to submit that as well, and you can take a picture, send in the picture, and we will make sure it gets on the Miro board for the next conversation. So I just wanted to make sure to mention that as well.
Thank you so much. It was skipping my mind. So yeah, as Sarah mentioned, you can just do it with pen and paper and send it through the same form, and we'll make sure to share it with the SI network team. Well, after the coffee chat and mix and match, we're gonna have the first prototyping session, which is a little bit more complicated, I think, because it's a little more technical and going deep into prototyping. So design, all that kind of well, concepts that you are not very familiar with. So that is pretty much it from our side. Thank you so much to the team that delivered the workshop. It was very, very nice to see and to learn out of it. And I guess I see you all in 2 weeks. If you have any questions, also feel free to speak now or forever hold your breath.
Little question. Sarah said that you will send to us a reading.
Yes.
Okay, so you'll send for us via email. Yes.
Yeah, via email. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining and listening to us. I hope it was valuable for you, and see you next workshop.
Thank you so much.
Bye,
Take care.
everybody.
All the
Bye.
best.
Thank you so much.
See you
Yes.
Good
soon.
luck.